The story began when Isabelle, who is the co-director and also who is a character in the film, discovered 5 years ago that she reacted to perfumes and all chemicals in her surroundings. We were already friends and filmmakers, both of us. And when we discovered, because I followed her in the research, and when we discovered all this whole universe, that we didn't know, and we began to meet people, and we realized that there was a lot of people very affected by chemicals and electromagnetic fields. So that's why we started.
Well, I guess the first shock was the lot of people we met and we talked with, that they had the same symptoms, and also they had the same moment of, I don't know how to say that, but poisoning. There was a first exposition to chemicals or magnetic fields. Everybody we talked with had that first huge exposition, and after that symptoms begins. So first of all, our first astonishment was the same symptoms, the same stories, and also the variety of people, all different people from different places, from doing different work, and very, most of the time, very coherent people, very effective citizens, It was far from, people who had mental health issues, or it was far from that portrait we have, So that was how we decided to make a film.
Le NTP, National Toxicology Program, est obligé de dire les ondes électromagnétiques émises par les cellulaires sont cancérigènes.
Tous les produits d'usage courant qui nous entourent, que ce soit les meubles, que ce soit les vêtements, que ce soit les produits de soins corporels, contiennent ces produits chimiques-là.
Quand je sors, je dois toujours tout matriquer pour pas être exposée avec le chandail. C'est avec des fils de métal.
Oh, je me souviens d'un concert là, où j'étais très faible, j'étais amaigri, j'étais pâle et j'avais pas de tonus. Puis à un moment donné, là, je me suis dit, ça vient du vernis.
Je peux pas dormir dans la maison encore parce qu'il y a trop de produits chimiques qui sont encore en train de sortir, les produits de construction de la maison.
I don't think too far ahead in the future because it can be overwhelming. So right now, I'm more thinking about high school. Where is he going to go for high school?
Le vrai problème aujourd'hui, pour ce qui est de l'électro-hypersensibilité, c'est l'influence des lobbies qui disent et colportent partout que rien n'est démontré.
Il y a beaucoup de mobilisations qui sont contre le déploiement de la 5G. Il y a des scientifiques, il y a des médecins, il y a évidemment des personnes, des électros, des trucs comme ça. Tout le monde a peur.
Vous avez 4,47 volts dans le corps en ce moment.
Là, on parle des canaries dans les mines de charbon. Alors, les gens qui sont les hypersensibles sont les canaris dans notre société. Nous les ignorons à notre péril.
We have to say that here in the province of Quebec, this condition is not recognized by the health professionals. So the people who suffer from that, they are alone. They are left by themselves. They don't have. There's nothing put in place to recognize their illness, to treat them, and even to prevent and to tell them what to do to prevent the exposure.
Actually, the EMF medical conference, so this is the second one of this length of a conference, is so important. And we're really hopeful as clinicians get educated that there can be treatment, because this is not, it's egregious that we don't have the doctors to be educated to treat people. And
so that's why your conference is so important.
Yes.
To introduce this clip, let's say that Isabelle had to quit the Montreal, the city, and build a house in the countryside. And we followed her in this house. So she moved 3 or 4 weeks before this clip.
Je ne peux pas dormir dans la maison encore parce qu'il y a trop de produits chimiques qui sont encore en train de sortir de tous les produits de construction de la maison. Mais je me suis rendu compte que la tente commence à moisir, puis mes matelas commencent à moisir aussi. Je pense que je ne pourrais pas continuer longtemps dans cette tente-là. Je peux pas m'acheter de tente neuve parce qu'il y a trop de produits chimiques dessus. Il faut que ce soit des tentes qui ont aéré quand même un bon 3 ans avant de pouvoir rentrer dedans. Mais après 5 ans, ils perdent trop de produits chimiques. Puis là, c'est les moisissures qui rentrent. Quand je suis arrivée ici, il faisait beau, il faisait chaud au mois de juin, début de juillet. C'était extraordinaire, il faisait sec. Puis j'ai jamais été aussi bien comme ça depuis 3 ans. Mais il y a eu 3 semaines de pluie où est-ce que je suis tombée vraiment très, très malade, là, plus malade qu'à Montréal. Parce que je pense que c'est les moisissures qui sont responsables de ça, mais je le sais pas. Mais d'après ce que je parle avec d'autres personnes qui ont plus d'expérience de cette maladie-là que moi, ce serait ça. Puis j'ai eu un bout vraiment difficile où est-ce que j'ai carrément été plus capable de marcher. Puis j'ai vraiment capoté. Puis je me dis, qu'est-ce que je fais ici? Pourquoi je suis partie de Montréal? Puis après, je me suis raisonnée. Je me suis dit, ben non, il faut que tu te parles, puis il faut que tu rationalises, là. Je pense que dans mes fantasmes, dans ma pensée magique, puis dans celle de ma famille aussi, parce que ma famille m'a aidée à construire cette maison-là, mon chum. Tout le monde s'attendait à ce que ce soit une guérison miraculeuse, là, dès que j'arrive ici, puis c'est pas ça qui s'est produit.
Well, there's a close relationship between mold and electromagnetic field for a lot of people who has that electromagnetic hypersensitivity condition. And so at the beginning of the disease, you are totally in dark because you don't know a lot of things about that disease. You learn by talking with other people, people like you that are aware of that subject. And so, yes, you don't know why you have those symptoms sometimes. And it's like a detective. You have to figure out what to change in your environment to feel better. So it's all day long work to be well, just to feel comfortable in your environment. And once it's done, now it's been, I think, 2 years that I construct that house. Now I'm well, you know. But if I'm too exposed because I go to the grocery or the pharmacy or whatever, all the symptoms begins again and last for maybe 1 or 2 hours or 1 or 2 days. So, well, I'm good in my house, but I'm very isolated.
That's the title of the film, is Prisons Without Bars. It's about what Isabelle just told, and another character in the film that we will see later, Katya, who is electromagnetic sensitive and who lives in a shielded house, but she's well inside, but she cannot go out. So she said, I'm like in prison, prison without bars.
So these stories need to be told in a way very
Yeah.
respectful of people. And that is what struck me about your film. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And for your courage
You're
in
welcome.
telling the story, Isabelle, for letting yourself be in this movie.
Yeah. That was quite a challenge.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm behind the camera, not in front of the camera. And if I can add something, that disease is very not sensationalist, okay? There's no blood, there's no wounds, apparently. And, you know, you can live with a headache for the rest of your life, or with fatigue for the rest of your life, or whatever it is, nausea. And it's all little to bad symptoms that you can live with, but it's not a life, you know? And it's a handicap, very strong, invisible, and not recognized. So that's a strange situation.
Mm. And I want to say that Isabelle, at first, she didn't like the idea of being in front of the camera and being in the film. So she said, no, I won't be in the film. But as we did the work with the research, it became so evident that she has to be in the film. But
yeah.
It was important for the film that she was in the film, and because of her, we had I think it helps help us to get confidence with the other persons.
How long did this film, how long was the filming? How long did it take to make this movie?
We can say 4 or 5 years.
About, yes.
From the beginning to do the research and to do the research for money, financing the project. And then we film for a whole year, during 1 year, a little bit more. And after that, there's the editing and the post-production. So it takes a long time to do a documentary.
So could you introduce the story of Jaden? You have a clip.
It was important for us to have a child in the film, because we met some families, but not all of them wanted to that their children would be in the film. You know, they didn't want to show it or to let know it. So we were happy to meet Jaden. He was 10 years old when we filmed, and very, very sensitive to electromagnetic field. And his mother is EHS too, and she works hard to get a life for his boy.
When I first felt electrosensitive, pretty sure it was around 5, 6 years old. That's when I started getting meltdowns a lot. I was getting heat effects. I was getting bad marks, couldn't think straight, and a lot of those effects just started happening. And then my mom did research and she found out that it's a possibility that was that. So you should try to not do that. There is lots of symptoms. My nerves could start going. Like I could start getting all nervous, and I could get heart arrhythmia. My heart could go out of whack. I could start being very obnoxious.
First car was not even a car. It was probably like
this type of plaster type paper type thing. My dad put it on to stop the radio waves from the cell boosters and the Wi-Fi and the smart meters from coming in, because without this, they would come in strong and I would not be able to sleep in my bed. But since he put it on, there's still some that come in, but very less, like not that much than before. So that made a big difference. I have a very, very supportive school, so they don't have Wi-Fi everywhere. So school, well, it's fine because everyone supports me. They take off their phones, they put them on airplane mode. They make sure that if there's Wi-Fi, they'll send me into another class. It's very good.
En premier, quand il est venu à l'école, tout le monde, comme, il disait...
Me jugeait.
Ouais, puis je voulais pas qu'il y ait pas d'amis pour, comme... Je voulais juste pas qu'il y ait pas d'amis. Alors j'ai voulu être son ami, puis c'est comme ça que je suis son meilleur ami maintenant.
So for some reason, he was wanting to play with certain kids at school. One of them would call him, oh, I don't want him on our team. Wi-Fi kid, that's the Wi-Fi kid. You know, and the Wi-Fi kid. It was just getting on his nerves, and then he had Kaylin. He just was Jaden's lifeline. He didn't judge him. The fact that he was curious helped. And I wish others would be a little bit more curious, but in a nice way. Kaylin was curious in a nice way. He would ask Jaden questions. So once he became a little bit more aware of the subject, and I didn't even really know this until not too long ago when I asked Jaden, how did Kaylin make a difference in your life? And he said, well, you know, he would ask questions and I would just answer, and he wouldn't, like, you know, get nasty or mean or say things. He would actually just listen and understand. One person can make a difference, and especially with these electrosensitive children, their lives are so isolated. They can't go here, they can't go there because, you know, their Wi-Fi is everywhere, the cell phones are everywhere, the towers, you know, like so many things. He's had to stay home, and I asked him, what's the hardest part? Mom, the hardest part about being electrosensitive is I feel in prison, I can't go everywhere I want to go. I don't think too far ahead in the future because it can be overwhelming. So right now, I'm more thinking about high school. Where is he going to go for high school? And right now, it's hard to find an environment with a high school. The high school that I went to and where I would wanted him to go to, which is close to home, has a massive tower there. And just to drive there, it's so powerful. So to go out for recess or to do gym out in the field, it's the choices are so limited. But inside, it might be better, but then you have to deal with all the Wi-Fi, the cell phones, the laptops, and it's much bigger. So that concerns me for the children's future because Jaden's world is getting smaller and smaller, and that's why I have to continually look for what I can to allow him to have a life.
His story is so many kids' stories.
Yeah. Yes, there's a growing number of children who suffer in schools because there's Wi-Fi everywhere and cell phones. Every child has a cell phone, and it's not recognized. And
yeah.
I just talked to Jaden's mother two days ago, and he's in high school now, and she cannot have any accommodation, so he's only has online learning. So, and the pandemic arrives, so it didn't help. So he's always at home and has online learning only. So it's not very easy for him. And now she's working again, she's still working very hard to try to lower his sensitivities in order to be able to, for Jaden to be able to go to school when the pandemic will end, that he will be able to go to school, because she cannot have any accommodation like wired, the internet or things like that. The school didn't want, and they didn't want to ask the teachers and the students to put their phone in
Airplane mode.
Airplane mode.
Airplane mode.
Are they not? What state are they in? Are they in, or are they in the central like?
Yes, they are in Montreal. That's the west part of Montreal, so it's an English
okay
quarter, but it's the city of Montreal.
And they are not able to get accommodations. Do you have?
No, and she works very hard. Bunny is very, comment on dit? No. Ouais, impliqué. Involved. They're involved with the schools and to ask. But she has a little hope now because the director of the school just changed. So she wants to go back again and start again, all the representations, but she now has a little hope.
We have several lawsuits that have happened in the United States where parents were trying to get accommodations for their children and were unable to, that have gone to court. And we have that information on our website. We even have teachers that have lost their jobs because of calling for accommodations. We have teachers that have gotten accommodations in some cases, and then other ones were involved in lawsuits for their own sensitivities. And that's one of the reasons we're moving forward on our lawsuit as well, because our limits, the US limits, are being used as proof that there's no reason to accommodate people who are becoming ill from the wireless systems in schools or cannot attend as a worker or a student.
So there's no indication from the school board. So it depends on the director of each school, because Bunny succeed to have some accommodations in the primary school because the teachers and the director were understood the problem, but in the high school she didn't succeed.
One of the things that we're doing also is we have compiled informations to educate administrators, and I'm sure that Jaden's mother is doing that. I know everyone working on this is working on that, and we've been emailing out. We actually have to BC, to British Columbia, several school districts information to just keep the information coming, because even when we do all that educating with the school boards, then we find that then the administration changes or people shift, and then we're in a whole different situation. Because there's a lot of private schools where they actually are reducing it, especially in the lower grades. The harder grades is more of a challenge. But then, teachers change, and then we're at a whole different place, and we're not able to sustain that. What are the laws related to schools? Is there any recourse for people?
I don't think so.
There's no legal action.
No.
Well, and we did not hear about that, but no, I don't think so. Well, this is a real problem, and first of all, we need some regulation from government to that situation, especially in primary school. And I don't know how they're going to manage it. It's presented like a tool of education now. So it's very difficult to change the mind, and that's the main problem.
I think legal action may be the only recourse because of our cognitive dissonance and the denial of our society.
Yeah. Yeah. Denial.
Denial. It's invisible. Like you said, there's no blood. So, well, I have a clip from Katya.
Katya.
If you want to introduce that while I get that up.
Yeah, maybe I can introduce her.
Yes, go.
Katya was a very well-known communication person on the art scene in Montreal. And when she discovered, when she began to be very, very sick, she had to isolate herself in a little village in the south of the Quebec at Sutton. And now she lives there alone, in fact, since a long time. And when she arrived in that little village, she was well because there was not a lot of antenna, but now there's so much antenna everywhere. So it's difficult to find places for electromagnetic hypersensible persons to live, because there's no more free Wi-Fi place where to live. So.
Les symptômes vraiment sévères, ils ont commencé à Montréal en 2000. Les acouphènes, les palpitations cardiaques, l'insomnie, les troubles digestifs. Puis c'était des maux de tête tout le temps, tous les jours. Là. Puis ça, c'est un des symptômes fréquents pour les électro-hypersensibles. Les médecins me disaient que j'étais folle ou que j'avais besoin de pilules. Puis quand je partais de Montréal, quand j'allais chez mes parents en Gaspésie, j'avais rien. Alors j'ai fait une recherche. J'étais une fille de militaire. J'ai habité toute mon enfance sur des bases militaires. Puis j'étais souvent dans les champs de pratique. Fait qu'un amalgame d'exposition à des métaux lourds, des produits toxiques, puis l'irradiation fait que j'ai développé une maladie militaire qui est connue depuis l'invention du radar. Les premiers qui ont été malades des irradiations par micro-ondes sont les opérateurs de radar. Quand j'ai compris là, que c'était vraiment ça qui me rendait malade, puis que là, je devenais de plus en plus malade, là, je me disais, je vais mourir. Si je reste à Montréal, c'est sûr que mon cœur va lâcher ou... Alors là, j'ai commencé à penser, je vais devoir quitter ma vie de citadine puis m'éloigner des antennes. Alors, j'ai trouvé cette petite maison-là qui était maganée. J'ai décidé de refaire faire l'extérieur de la maison. J'ai fait blinder tous les murs, le toit, le solage, puis dans les fenêtres, il y a soit des films ou des rideaux qui coupent les ombres. J'ai retrouvé mon sommeil, les palpitations sont parties, les acouphènes sont partis. J'allais beaucoup à l'hôtel de ville. Puis là, à l'hôtel de ville, au conseil de ville, il y avait toujours des gens qui se levaient puis qui demandaient plus de signal, plus de services, plus de signal. Puis là, je me levais puis j'expliquais, vous devriez demander la fibre optique, les technologies sans fil, c'est pas prouvé que c'est sans danger. Il faudrait appliquer le principe de précaution. Alors, j'intervenais toujours puis j'essayais toujours de m'opposer à ce qu'il y ait plus de signal. Et puis... ça fonctionnait, ça a très mal fonctionné, évidemment. Ils ont ajouté des antennes. Quand je suis arrivée, il y avait seulement qu'une antenne au Rocher Bleu avec quelques émetteurs. Ensuite, il y en est apparu une autre en 2013 à peu près, 2012-2013. 2016, la grosse en haut du Mont Sutton, qui, elle, vraiment, quand elle est apparue, est arrivée l'hiver, puis j'ai commencé à me sentir vraiment mal.
Prison without bars.
Prison without bars. And she did all of that, whoops. She put up all that shielding and then more and more antennas came.
Yeah, and we follow in the film, we follow her when she's looking for another place to move. And finally, she didn't find any place better, so she's still in this little house. But Sutton, the village where she lives, is the first village in Quebec province who asked for comment dit, moratoire, moratorium on 5G. So we don't know the results, but people in that village, mostly because of her, because she's teaching very around her. She works very much to increase the awareness about those microwaves and electromagnetic fields. So she's very, she became very, she has a lot of knowledge about that because she's done a lot of research, because nobody can answer her questions, so she has to find by herself. So now she helps other people to minimize or their exposure, how to do. So she's very active in that field.
And also, we see her in that extract, in that excerpt. She goes outside of her house, but she wears some very clothes, protective clothes. Mm-hmm. And so she's able to go a little bit outside, play with her dog, but she go outside maybe 20 minutes a day, and that's it, you know? Like the little promenade in jail, you know? So, and she has to protect herself very well. When she go in her courtyard, she go to read the newspaper. This is a well-protected place where she can sit outside. So her universe is very, very, very little. But she has strong and large knowledge, like Nicole said, and she's very good. She's a good communicator. That's what she did when she had a good health. She was a communicator to newspaper with the, comment tu dis?
She worked in a radio station too.
Exactly. So she's very, very good to help, to explain, and to make change the mind and maybe the laws.
We learned a lot from Katya. How to disconnect, how to protect with the computer, how to disconnect in the car, all the Wi-Fi gear in the car. So she teach a lot to us.
Yeah, in fact, the very specialists of that disease are the person who are ill, because they are alone and they had to learn everything, and they are their own experiment. So we hope that doctors are going to meet them. Listen to them and meet them also, because they have a lot to say.
And their body knows.
Mm-hmm.
Their body knows what they need and what they're reacting to. And
exactly. And in fact, we are very excited by your conference, because there's a new field of research, huh? Those diseases, and scientifically speaking, it's exciting, I guess. That's a new field of research. That's a new, you can make maybe one of the first doctors to do those researches, you know, on patient. So I know there's doctors, and there's some, and they have pioneers doctors, but if you want to go further in the research, it's a new field.
And actually in this conference, so it only just began, the EMF Medical Conference 2021, and I was in my booth, and in comes a researcher talking about her research with a dozen people who are sensitive to chemicals and electromagnetic radiation. And she's working in anthropology and getting her PhD. So this is happening. There's no stopping it.
Oh, that's so great. Because we met a lot in the extract you show, there's no specialists, there's no doctors or researchers, but we have in the film. And you know, they are doing environmental health medicine, but there's no new people who follow those kind of medicines or those kinds of environmental related health, you know. We didn't met a lot of young people who are interested in those, you know. Everybody was 60 and up, you know.
Actually, this is Deborah Davis.
Hi.
We often find that the doctors who become interested in the research are people who have themselves become affected. And
Exactly.
like the one that Dr. Russell mentioned, and I have not looked at that. Theodora, have you looked at his presentation? Because I had not seen that, of a doctor who has recently written about his own experiences becoming ill and then not being able to recover and not being able to use his cell phone or his computer and thinking he was crazy until he finally figured out what was going on. That's happening more and more.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have one medical doctor in the film, Dr. Jennifer Armstrong, who has a clinic, environmental clinic in Ottawa, and she is herself sensitive, hypersensitive, and it's the only clinic we found here that she treats some patient, and she's well known, but she's the only one.
Well, she is also my friend and my colleague, and I think that she's very brave. But we have to do a better job of supporting her, and trying to encourage more people to work on this. Are you familiar with the work of Margaret Sears at Prevent Cancer Now?
Yes, we made a lot of research too before doing the film, but we cannot put all of them in the film, and we choose to treat the human aspect more.
Sure.
In the science aspect. But we have to say that the doctors and the researchers we met are highly courageous. It's a high courage because they are alone, totally alone.
Dr. Héroux, that we have in your conference, Dr. Paul Héroux, he's in the film.
And also Lise Parent and Jennifer and Dr. Brega, they are very, very...
Dr. Belpomme that we film in Paris. So he's the only one to treat, he has a lot of patients coming from everywhere in Europe, but he's alone.
Yeah.
What about Rena Bray? What about Rena Bray at Toronto?
Yeah, in Toronto. And we met also Dr. John Mollot in Toronto, but they're not all in the film, but we met some of them.
I think courage.
Yes, and we wanted to work. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say that I think courage, this is courage, telling the stories and putting that human, telling people stories is how we're going to reach people. I mean, all the science in the world doesn't seem to be getting far because it's been decades. So I'm really struck with how again, I said it already, but just how beautiful you're telling these stories. And I think this is very important. I'd like to know, someone asked what has been the response from other people who've watched it and what's happening with your film now? And where can we watch it? And I will put a link when I put this up, the link that you provided me, but can you talk more about that?
Yes, we thank you very much to put the link on your website. The film was showed in theaters last year before the pandemic, so we had just the time to show it in some cities, in Montreal, Quebec, in some cities, and we were supposed to do like a tour, and everything was stopped, and we cannot put it online because some restriction with the TV broadcasters. So we had to wait till now. Now it's online just before Christmas. So we put it online. So it's online now in the French version and the English version. So and it's available everywhere, even in France and in Europe. So it's available now, and voila. So the distribution is just beginning for us because we were interrupted by the pandemic.
Yeah, and as filmmakers, we ask ourselves, are we going to make a film, a very scientific film with a lot of, information, very precise, and a lot of researchers. And there was Dr. Paul, there was a lot of researchers we liked very much, and Rina Bray, and we said, well, it's an introduction because people don't know about that condition. And also people are aware, those people are strange, those people maybe are mad, those people, and people who suffer from those new diseases has the same, are hit with the same taboo as people who has mental health issues. So as an introduction, it was better to us to just show the people who they are. They are ordinary people. They are not mad or dangerous or obsessive people, It's everybody, and it could be everybody. And it concerns also everybody because there's a lot of other diseases who are, because of our bad environment, bad by chemicals and bad by electromagnetic fields. A lot of people suffers from that, and they don't know it, or they have cancer, or they have other diseases. So, well, that's a big issue because we have to change the world. we have to change the entire organization of our world,
And like somebody in the film says, those people who suffer from environmental disease are like the canaries, they are whistleblowers, and we cannot afford to ignore them anymore. We have to take note and to listen to them and to change many things in the environment.
Yeah.
So it opens on different subjects like economic pressures or health, public standards, and all things like that. It opens on very large, broad aspect of the thing, but it's like Isabelle said, it's an introduction. We cannot put everything in the film, so it's just the beginning.
Yeah, and it begins with the people, so that's why we decide to put people in that film.
It's like with this story, like you have your individual story, your life, and then you end up, like you said, we have to change the world to fix my life, to fix our life. Like it comes down to the people.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people say, I don't want to get political. I'm not a political person, and here is just an example of the political is personal, right? The personal is political. This is affecting people's lives. They have no place to live, or if they find one, they're in it. They can't get out. They're, not able to go visit people and have a normal life. And I think that's what's so important about this film, especially even in this conference in my booth. I've been talking to people where they're not, they've been isolated and afraid to speak and afraid to tell their story. And this movie can give them courage to tell their story, to speak out, to get involved, and to know that they're not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because the world is telling them, is telling anyone who even talks about this or is sick or that, tinfoil hat or whatever, whatever's coming out. I certainly have a whole folder on my computer of name calling, just by posting a link to an upcoming thing, just by saying, hey, what about the kids in school? I mean, it's unbelievable, the bullying.
Yes, we have comments like this on our Facebook publications. We have all different kinds of comments.
Yeah. But the film was well received, to answer your question. The film was very well received, in fact. And we had the opportunity to go in a massive TV show called Tout le monde en parle, which is similar to the big shows, American shows, but in our Quebec province. And there was a lot of comments, and not that much bullying comments. Just a little bullying comments, but a lot of, thank God there's a film about it. Yeah. Well, important that you speak about this. So there's a good, we were welcome, and we arrive in a good point now that people are ready to open their ear and open their mind. And sometimes they suffer themselves, like you said, and they don't say it. You just talk about the difficulty of perfume, and a lot of people say, oh yes, me too. It's so difficult, the perfume for me. Just that little detail. And chemicals are so more than perfume. But it's one of the manifestation of chemical in our society is perfume. Chemical perfume, of course. But it's incredible, a lot of people who said, I don't like perfume. I don't feel well in the presence of perfume. So why there is perfume in groceries? Why there is perfume at the pharmacy? You know, in the air system, the climatization, or, you know, they put perfume in the, comment on dit ça, dans le système d'aération. So it's all a little law, little change we have to make one by one also in our community. So in our community, we can say, please, at the grocery, please, can you stop using washing soap with perfume in your floor in the grocery? If a lot of people say that, well, it changed a little bit. So, and it could begin something.
I know, it's a journey. It's like moving people along and holding them as they go so that they can do it with strength and feel confident. And then also having these bold moves to get it at the policy level to change law, which is not protective. I know in our state, in Maryland, we're working on getting chemicals out of the cleaning in schools. And it starts with the daycares, right? We could get it passed in the daycares, but having trouble in the public school system, but at least there's laws, and then moving it into the public schools, because why are we cleaning with all these chemicals that have smells? And then of course the pesticides, all of this. And what's impressive is the amount of time and the years of dedication to actually get any of this passed. But I think that having the human story can sort of keep, because when there's no human story, it's very easy to dismiss it and to downplay it, minimize, and think, well, they're not, you know, there's that problem with them. They're not people. It's almost like they're not people. You are bringing it right to humanizing and showing that it's people. We're just people, you know, these are real people with real lives, just like you said so beautifully. Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful film with us. I'm just honored to be speaking with you today.
Oh, we are honored to speak with you too. Thank you for your nice questions.
And also for all the organization of this conferences, because my God, it's so important, and thank you.